In today's Leeds news, Leeds interested in French winger, Gruev collects awards, Sissako a possible target, Gnonto can play 10, and Kelleher heading elsewhere. Morning folks, Jay here at The View, Tuesday morning the 18th of March with your Leeds United news. Quick update for tonight, there will be an Academy View with Jerry McDermott tonight at 7:30 live on the channel to look at the Leeds United Academy and what's going on with them right now, and a couple of players to keep an eye on in the coming months and years, and that's later on this evening. But we'll start off today. There's not a lot of stuff going around. It is the international break. It's always a bit tricky this time of the year. I appreciate everyone sticking with me during this time and watching the videos. But we'll start off with some interesting players. And there's a couple of transfer rumours, and they're very much rumours. And I will caveat that at the start of this before we get into it. But I'll give you some detail as we go through it. But we'll start off with interest in a French winger. And according to reports in Le République Sportif, Celtic and Leeds United are both said to be looking at Nantes winger Herbert Guirassy. The young winger has made 15 appearances in Ligue 1 this season and has 3 goals to his name at the young age of 18 years of age. He had 28 goals during his 2023 under-17 season, which just before he made his move into the senior side with them. Guirassy made his Nantes debut last August for the club against Toulouse, and his current deal runs until the summer of 2028. If he was to leave the club, a transfer fee of between 8 to 10 million is what's being touted, and that's pounds. He's been described as a talented and composed attacker, and it also states though in this report, and it has been covered by the Daily Record in Scotland as well, who do name Leeds but do say that Celtic are very much the front runners on this and are very interested in bringing the attacker to the club, so Leeds will have to compete with that. Got to get up first, but yeah, an interesting one. Herbert Guirassy, a very young, talented future star, I would say, one to keep an eye on, but very much in the rumour territory for right now, and Leeds very much have competition for that position if they decide to make any moves for him. Moving on, let's talk about current Leeds United central defensive midfielder Abdoulaye Gruev, who was up for an award this week, and Bulgaria held its Player of the Year awards as it does every year, and they named PAOK player Kirill Despodov as their Player of the Year. But Abdoulaye Gruev picked up the second place award in this, which is now the second time in 2 seasons that Gruev has collected the second place award in the Bulgarian Player of the Year awards. It did come as a bit of a surprise to Gruev, and that's probably not a massive shock. He did miss a portion of this season through injury, but he seemed very happy to be collecting the award. So massive congratulations to Abdoulaye Gruev on picking up that award. And there was a lot of current and ex-Leeds players who played with Gruev were quick to take to his Instagram to congratulate the maestro, as they labelled him, on the award. So well done to Abdoulaye Gruev on picking up the award. Moving on, one more transfer update or rumour to bring you up to speed on, and this one relates to a possible defensive midfield upgrade. And according to African Foot and reports coming from France today, Leeds are said to be amongst several clubs keeping an eye on French midfielder Abdoulaye Sissako, who is having a very strong season in the Belgian Pro League so far this year. Sissako is 26 years of age, a central defensive midfielder, as I say, and has currently got 24 appearances this season, 2 goals and 1 assist to boot as well. Currently at Kortrijk, and I've probably butchered that name, so I apologise for that, who are having a pretty tough season, but he has been seen as a shining light in what's been a very difficult campaign for the Belgian club. Leeds, Club Brugge, Le Havre and 2 unnamed European clubs are said to be watching him at this point, and Leeds will have to review several positions should they get promoted to the Premier League, and with Joshua Guirassy likely to depart the club in the summer, Leeds will need to bolster more options in that midfield area and probably just need an upgrade on a couple of positions. Currently, it says that Leeds United are amongst several clubs that are watching the player. There's no serious intent there just yet. It seems that they're still very much lining players up. If you listen to the Ian Hart interview we did last week, Hart said that Leeds' recruitment team and scouting team will be very much getting their lists of players together right now and will be getting those shortlists ready for summer moves and to be ready to go when the right moment hits for Leeds. But again, another decent midfielder, good option there as well. Leeds clearly having a wider look at players around Europe. They're going to have to be probably more creative than most in the summer. Either way, whatever happens this year, they'll have to be very creative with the transfers in the summer. So interesting one to keep an eye on there. Steady player. But we'll move on. Let's talk about Willy Gnonto and the number 10 position, which has been talked about quite an awful lot online over the past couple of days. And Willy Gnonto has headed off on international duty to represent the Italian under-21 side, and he is expected to operate in the number 10 position for them when they get their games underway. Gnonto's cameo at the weekend in the problematic number 10 position right now, has raised more questions around that role and what Leeds could do potentially for the back end of the campaign. If Gnonto was to replicate the performance for 90 minutes that he put in during his cameo, he could go an awful long way towards relaxing the nerves that Leeds have around that position, giving Brendan Aronson some time off, and also give him a chance to get into the Leeds United starting 11 for the run-in of the season. Revista Udici journalist Fabio Simonelli was speaking with BBC Radio Leeds, and he believes that Willy Gnonto could operate in the number 10 position, but it's probably not his best role. Simonelli says that Gnonto has had similar problems at Italy that he has faced at Leeds United, that when Italy failed to qualify for the World Cup and Roberto Mancini lost his job, Willy Gnonto lost his position and was relegated to the under-21 side, which seems a little bit harsh. It also happened to coincide with Leeds getting relegated to the Championship, and that's probably more likely why he's in the under-21s and not in the senior national side, because he's playing Championship football. But on Gnonto's preferred or his best position, Simonelli says he's a striker and generally plays in the number 10 position in central roles for Italy, but can operate anywhere across the front three, as we've seen ourselves at Leeds. The best position, though, Simonelli said, with his speed and skill set, is very much in the wide areas, and he says that the issue for Gnonto is in England the bigger, more physical central defensive players can cause him problems, and are a reason why he hasn't been operating in the central positions for Leeds currently. When he was at Zurich, he did play a different style of football, Simonelli says, and that suited his style and allowed him to play in those central positions. But Simonelli says that Gnonto is faster on the ball than sometimes his feet can keep up with. And that's a similar issue that was labelled at Dan James when he was younger as well. And we should remember, Willy Gnonto still is only 21 years of age. But he said if he can focus on stretching opposition and running at players, and also improving his communication with his teammates, he could do himself an awful lot of favours. Simonelli feels that Gnonto could play a role for Leeds United in the number 10 position, as he does for Italy, once he can figure out how to handle the more physical aspects of the English game in those central areas. How Leeds set up after the international break will be very interesting. I'm sure there'll be lots of conversations before we get to that point, and there are a lot of people who would like to see more of Willy Gnonto in that number 10 position. I think even a start in that role to have a look at him in the next game would make sense before we get a final decision on whether he's the right player to play in that role. But you always get that feeling that if the international break goes okay for Leeds, and if the players are relatively fresh that are staying back, that Daniel Farken would probably likely go with the exact same starting 11 that he went in the last Leeds United home game. So you've always got that to play around with as well. So we'll see what happens with Willy Gnonto. For me, he definitely has the skill set to be a number 10. He's small, low centre of gravity, skillful, has an eye for a pass, can shoot pretty well with both feet as well, can find gaps. So for me, I think it's an option that Leeds should definitely look at, but we'll have to wait and see. Moving on, let's talk about a transfer that could be now heading elsewhere that Leeds were linked with, and that's Caoimhín Kelleher. Kelleher was recently named as one of the targets that Leeds were said to have in the summer for the goalkeeping position if they get promoted, but the want-away Liverpool backup goalkeeper was always likely to have interest from other Premier League sides. Kelleher is said to be winding down his contract at Liverpool in order to force a move away from the club this summer. Leeds' quest for the goalkeeper may now have hit a bit of a snag. According to reports today, Bournemouth are said to be very confident that they can convince Caoimhín Kelleher that they are the right next club for him, and sign him as they look to build on a positive season this year. Next year, Bournemouth currently sit in 10th position in the Premier League, and Andoni Iraola is currently kind of renegotiating his position at the club after plenty of interest in him from Spain, and that may have a bearing on the situation coming into next year. Leeds will need to obviously get promoted first. That's the main thing before they can even look at a possibility of signing a goalkeeper like Caoimhín Kelleher. He has said before he wants a top-end Premier League move. He's no interest in moving to the Championship, so Leeds would need to get that work done before any talk of bringing Caoimhín Kelleher or any Premier League level players into the club will happen. But a bit of work to do. He's a really good goalkeeper, Caoimhín Kelleher. He's got a very high ceiling. He's got years ahead of him. But it does look like Leeds will have a bit of a challenge to bring him in. The fact that Leeds can't move now and have to wait to see how the season finishes up before they can make a move means that other teams in the Premier League have an advantage over Leeds at this stage. And Bournemouth are having a very, very solid season for themselves this year and will likely look to replace Azpilicueta, who's on loan there, with a first choice goalkeeper next season. And Kelleher, they believe, will be the right man for them, and they're confident of getting him done. We'll keep an eye on it over the coming months and weeks leading into the summer transfer window. Not long to go now. We're then middle of March now. We'll be all done and dusted in 6 to 8 weeks, so we'll see where we are then, folks. Massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. Back tonight at 7:30 with Jerry McDermott to look at the academy side of Leeds United. I hope to see you there. If not, I'll see you in the morning for more Leeds news. Enjoy the rest of your day and evening. I'll talk to you soon. See you. Bye.